What if I told you that while your ancestors were still believing thunder came from angry gods, a group of ancient Greeks had already figured out that everything you see, including your own body, is made of invisible, indestructible particles called atoms? And what if I told you they did this 2,500 years before we had microscopes, before Einstein, before quantum physics, using nothing but pure reasoning? But here's the disturbing part. They also predicted that the universe has no purpose, no divine plan, and that consciousness itself might just be atoms bouncing around in your skull. They solved puzzles that wouldn't be confirmed until the 20th century. And in doing so, they accidentally discovered something that most people today still refuse to accept. By the end of this video, you'll understand how humanity's first scientists didn't just discover atoms. They murdered God, predicted the meaninglessness of existence, and gave us the tools to see reality as it actually is, not as we wish it were. This is the story of the Pre-Socratics, the forgotten revolutionaries who invented science itself and changed everything. To understand how revolutionary these guys were, you need to picture the world they lived in. It's 700 BC, you wake up, and the sun rises, not because of nuclear fusion 93 million miles away, but because Apollo is driving his chariot across the sky. Your crops fail? You anger Demeter. Your child gets sick? Some god is punishing you. A plague sweeps through your city? The gods are at war again, and you're collateral damage. Every natural event is personal. The universe revolves around divine drama, and you're just trying to figure out which god you need to appease today. There's no pattern, no predictability, just chaos managed by immortal beings with very human emotions. When you need answers, you don't investigate. You sacrifice animals and read their guts. You travel to the oracle at Delphi and hope the priestess, high on volcanic gases, gives you cryptic advice that might save your life. But then, in the Greek trading city of Miletus, something unprecedented happens. A man named Thales looks at this chaos and asks the most dangerous question in human history. What if the gods have nothing to do with any of this? This wasn't just intellectual curiosity. This was existential rebellion. Thales was essentially saying, what if we can understand the universe without begging the gods for answers? Picture this. It's 585 BCE. A total solar eclipse is about to happen. The kind of event that sends entire armies fleeing in terror, convinced the world is ending. But Thales of Miletus stands calmly and says, this will happen on May 28th. And he's right. Think about what just happened. Thales didn't pray to Apollo or sacrifice to Zeus. He used observation and mathematical reasoning to predict a cosmic event. He demonstrated that the universe follows patterns we can discover and understand. But Thales went further. He made the first truly scientific hypothesis in human history. Everything that exists comes from one fundamental substance, water. Now, before you dismiss this as primitive, understand what Thales was really saying. He was proposing that beneath all the apparent diversity in the world, rocks, trees, animals, humans, there's a single natural substance that transforms into everything else. He was wrong about it being water specifically, but he was absolutely right about the underlying principle. Every atom in your body was forged in the heart of a dying star. We're all made of the same fundamental stuff, just arranged differently. And here's the kicker. Thales proved that understanding nature gives you practical power. Legend says he used his weather predictions to corner the olive oil market, making a fortune by renting olive presses before anyone else knew it would be a good harvest year. Every weather app on your phone, every medical diagnosis, every engineering marvel exists because Thales replaced the gods did it with let's figure out how this actually works. But here's what should keep you up at night. If Thales was right that natural laws explain everything, what does that mean for your sense of special purpose in the universe? Just when you think Greek philosophy can't get more unsettling, along comes Heraclitus of Ephesus, a man so difficult to understand that people called him the obscure. Heraclitus looked at Thales' water theory and said, "You're thinking too small. The fundamental substance isn't water, it's fire. But not literal fire. He meant conflict, change, destruction. According to Heraclitus, war is the father of all things. Struggle doesn't just happen in reality. Struggle creates reality. The path up and down are one and the same, he wrote. Your greatest triumph and your worst defeat, they're the same event viewed from different perspectives. Without Democrats, Republicans wouldn't exist. Without love, hate is meaningless. Without life, death has no power. Opposition doesn't destroy harmony, it creates it. But here's Heraclitus' most disturbing insight. You cannot step into the same river twice. The water is different, but the real philosophical horror? You can't step into the same river once. The river is changing while you're in it. You're changing while you're in it. Right now, as you're watching this, every cell in your body is dying and being replaced. The atoms in your brain are constantly being swapped out. The you that started this video is literally not the same you hearing these words. Heraclitus figured this out 2,500 years ago using pure reason. Modern biology has confirmed that your entire body replaces itself every 7 years. You're not a thing, you're a process. But if everything is constantly changing, if there's no permanent self, no fixed identity, no stable reality, then what exactly are you trying to preserve? What are you so afraid of losing? We spend our lives trying to freeze moments, preserve relationships, maintain our image. But Heraclitus would say that's like trying to hold fire in your hands. The moment you grasp it, it's already gone. While Heraclitus was contemplating the darkness of constant change, another revolutionary was discovering something equally mind-bending. The universe is made of math. Pythagoras, yes, the triangle guy, wasn't just interested in geometry. He and his followers made a discovery that would haunt philosophers for millennia. Mathematical relationships exist independently of the physical world. They discovered that musical harmony follows precise mathematical ratios. The difference between a beautiful chord and random noise isn't subjective, it's mathematical. 2:1 creates an octave. 3:2 creates a perfect fifth. But here's the disturbing implication. If beauty and harmony are mathematical, what does that say about human aesthetic experience? Are you discovering beauty, or are you just a biological calculator responding to numerical patterns? The Pythagoreans believed that all is number. Reality isn't made of water or fire. It's made of mathematical relationships. And modern physics is proving them right. Every equation in modern physics, from Einstein's E equals mc squared to the quantum mechanical wave function, suggests that mathematics isn't just a tool we use to describe reality. Mathematics is reality. Some modern physicists seriously propose that we might be living in a mathematical simulation. The Pythagoreans would nod and say, "We told you so 2,500 years ago." Now we reach the most mind-blowing pre-Socratic of all, Democritus, the laughing philosopher who made a logical leap that wouldn't be proven right until the 20th century. Around 460 BCE, Democritus asked the simplest question with the most revolutionary answer. If you keep cutting something in half, what happens? Most people said you could cut forever, infinitely dividing matter into smaller and smaller pieces. But Democritus said no. Logic demands that eventually you reach something uncuttable. Atomos, literally meaning indivisible. But here's the part that should terrify you. Democritus claimed these atoms move randomly through empty space, combining by pure chance to create everything you see. Your thoughts, your emotions, your sense of purpose, all just atoms bouncing around according to natural laws. No gods, no divine plan, no cosmic purpose, just atoms and void. But wait, it gets worse. If Democritus was right, then free will is an illusion. Your decision to click on this video, that was just atoms following their predetermined paths. Your love, your fears, your dreams of the future, all just atomic reactions you mistake for choice. Modern neuroscience is starting to suggest Democritus might have been right. We can predict some of your decisions 10 seconds before you're consciously aware of making them. The ancient Greek who never saw a brain scan somehow predicted what we're discovering about consciousness today. Pause the video right now. If atoms determine everything, are you responsible for your actions? Comment your answer. I'll respond to the most thoughtful replies. But here's what's incredible. Democritus didn't just guess. His atomic theory explained everything that previous philosophers couldn't. Why do things change? Atoms rearrange. Why do things have different properties? Different atomic arrangements. Why does anything exist at all? Atoms and void. Without Democritus's atomic insight, we'd have no chemistry, no nuclear physics, no understanding of DNA, no medicine that targets specific molecules in your body. Every drug you've ever taken works because Democritus was right about atoms. But he also accidentally predicted the most destructive and constructive forces in human history. Nuclear weapons and nuclear medicine both exist because a Greek philosopher figured out that matter is made of tiny, indivisible pieces that contain enormous energy. Just when you think ancient Greek philosophy can't get any stranger, Zeno of Elea shows up with paradoxes that still make mathematicians lose sleep. Zeno's most famous paradox. If Achilles races a tortoise and the tortoise gets a head start, Achilles can never catch up. Why? Because every time Achilles reaches where the tortoise has moved a little further ahead. Logically, Achilles has to cover an infinite number of distances, which should take infinite time. But obviously, fast things do overtake slow things. So what's wrong with our logic? Zeno accidentally discovered the mathematical concept of infinity 2,000 years before calculus was invented. His paradoxes forced mathematicians to develop entirely new ways of thinking about space, time, and continuous motion. But here's the modern twist. Some physicists think Zeno might have been more right than we thought. If space and time are quantized, made of discrete units like pixels in a video game, then his paradoxes reveal something fundamental about the nature of reality. Zeno's real insight wasn't about motion. It was about the gap between logical reasoning and physical experience. Sometimes, perfect logic leads to absurd conclusions. Sometimes, obvious experiences can't be rationally explained. We're still dealing with Zeno-style paradoxes in quantum mechanics and computer science. Ancient Greek logic continues to reveal the boundaries of human understanding. Let's be honest about what we've just discovered. The Pre-Socratics didn't just advance human knowledge, they destroyed human comfort. When Thales said natural laws explain everything, he didn't just challenge the gods. He challenged the idea that the universe cares about you personally. When Heraclitus said conflict creates reality, he suggested that your suffering isn't a mistake, it's essential. When Pythagoras said reality is mathematical, he implied that your deepest emotions might just be biological responses to numerical patterns. When Democritus said atoms explain consciousness, he hinted that death really is the end. This is the philosophical burden of scientific thinking. The more we understand how the universe actually works, the less it seems designed for human comfort. Look around. We live in an age of infinite information, but people increasingly choose comforting lies over uncomfortable truths. Climate change denial, anti-vaccine movements, conspiracy theories, all attempts to avoid what the Pre-Socratics discovered. Reality doesn't care about your feelings. The Pre-Socratics chose differently. They chose understanding over comfort, truth over consolation, knowledge over wishful thinking. And because they made that choice, we can cure diseases that killed their children, predict weather that destroyed their crops, and understand cosmic forces that terrified their nights. Every scientific achievement in human history traces back to these ancient Greeks who decided to think systematically about reality. The scientific method? They invented it. Hypothesis testing? They pioneered it. The courage to question authority? They modeled it. When doctors study how diseases spread, they're following Thales's example of looking for natural patterns. When engineers design earthquake-resistant buildings, they're applying Heraclitus's insights about change and conflict. When physicists study quantum mechanics, they're extending Democritus's atomic theory. But here's what most people miss. The Pre-Socratics didn't just give us scientific facts. They gave us scientific courage. The willingness to abandon comfortable beliefs when evidence points elsewhere. So here's your challenge. For 1 week, approach one area of your life like a pre-Socratic philosopher. Pick something you take for granted, your relationships, your career, your beliefs about success, and ask, what if everything I assume about this is wrong? What would the evidence actually show? Don't look for comfortable answers. Look for true ones. That's what separated these ancient Greeks from everyone else in their time. And it's what will separate you from everyone else in yours. If this philosophical revolution changed how you see reality, subscribe. You're ready to think like a philosopher instead of just consuming content. Comment with the most disturbing implication we discussed, and I'll respond to the most thoughtful answers. Why Socrates' most famous quote will destroy your confidence, and why that's good. Until then, keep questioning everything.